And I suppose this week of like news and such has been kind of like weird. It really started off with a bang.
Oh, for
I
sure.
wouldn't call it a bang. That was more of a smack.
A bang. If you were in the actual ceremony with everybody, it was a bang. Around the world, it sounded like a slap.
Yeah, but so obviously we're talking, for those who don't know, we're talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock right in the middle of the Oscars. Finally bringing some attention to an already dead show.
Right.
So it was. I didn't believe it when I saw it on Twitter, because I was having a rough day and I was sitting there and I was trolling through Twitter and saw it and I was like, wait, is this real? Like, this can't be. And sure enough, Will Smith walked up on stage after Chris Rock made a tasteless joke involving his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. And so Will walked up on stage and gave him the business, all 5 fingers worth and a palm.
What did a 5 fingers say to the Oscars?
God, what?
I was asking y'all. Like,
I thought for sure you had a follow up on that one. So.
The punchline. We were waiting for it.
No, that's it. That's it. That's just a hanging joke. That's for y'all to interpret. It's a new comedy.
Where is there? It is. There's my tab. And of course, the internet can't go one day without making something like
Racist.
this about race, right? Yeah. So, The Guardian reports that white outrage about Will Smith's slap is rooted in anti-blackness. It's inequality in plain sight. I see. Do they get paid to make up works of fiction now? Is that what the news is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's been that way ever since the Babylon Bee started becoming true.
Right?
It was before that, unfortunately. The Babylon Bee just made it more obvious.
Rush Limbaugh started it, then Alex Jones kind of continued it. Then the Babylon Bee started satire, and then they said, you know what? Why not?
I'm sure The Onion was first.
Yeah, or The Onion was first.
Yeah, now The Onion's like liberal trash. Like, it's just like they try and write like headlines like The Bee, but they suck. The left can't meme.
Nope.
And that's what, and now that, because there's the Babylon Bee account, and then there's Not the Bee, which is like real headlines, but you can't tell the difference anymore. Like, I'll see headlines in Not the Bee, and I'll think, wait, is this the right account? Did they post to the wrong account?
No, you always have to double check that shit.
So yeah, when I saw this headline, I saw someone post this article, like a screenshot of the article, and I was like, I have to go make sure this is real. And sure enough, because there's plenty of stuff out there on the internet that's that people make up, right? They'll take like a picture, an old picture article, and then they'll just put like their own headline in there and make it up. That happens a lot. But as we see here, it is not fake. It looks like Teo Barrow is reporting this. So I guess the issue is that there's a lot of white people speaking up about Will Smith's slap, and we're either disagreeing or agreeing with it, and somehow that is being anti-black. Not sure how it figures in, but I would like to ask you guys, what was your take on everything that happened at the Oscars?
Oh gosh. Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Anyway, so for me, you have that moment where you see the slap and you're you just don't know, did they stage that or not? And initially I figured it was for sure some kind of bit, because I'm not watching the Oscars. I have no plan to watch the Oscars.
Right.
And so I figure for sure, and then I get up on my stream and everybody's talking about it, and half of them are, oh, it's fake, and the other half are, no, it's real. And take a look at it and listen to some more takes and really think about it. And it's like, the more I look at it and the more I think about it, I'm pretty sure that was an honest slap. You have to actually go and watch the clip from Australia or Japan before you really get the full, where he's shouting out from the crowd about, Rock keeping his wife's name out of his mouth, and
Mhm.
The Rock's response and the fact that he was just able to roll through it was highly impressive to me.
Right.
That right there is just the sign of a top-notch comedian.
Yeah, that honestly, man, I'm surprised that he did as well as he did. That was probably
yeah.
the most impressive part. But I mean, I agree. Like the whole. Actually, you know, before I give my thing, Sheep, what was your first thoughts on it?
Keep my wife's name out your. Oh well, it's YouTube. I gotta give it some time. I don't know if matter of fact, do you even care about that? If I were to like swear or whatever at this point, because it's not a 2-hour mark yet.
No.
Okay, because
we're
I
good.
don't, and I was just making sure that you were
Yeah.
okay
All
with
on the
that.
same page.
Cool,
Yeah.
because I was about to say keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Yeah.
And then he said it again. Like I saw the clip, and I sat there for half a second. I was like, oh, that looked real stage. And then like then he sat down, and then it got real awkward, and I was like, oh, that must have been real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but yeah, no. Ultimately, it was. I'm laughing because like Chris made the joke, Will laughed, Jada sat there with resting bitch face, and then Will get up and slap, and I'm just sitting here like, she told him to slap him.
Well,
She
yeah,
didn't
and
verbally do it, but yeah.
well, and that's the thing. I don't know if I've seen an angle that shows them looking at each other, like because you clearly see him like smile, at least like sort of like chuckle at his joke.
He definitely started laughing.
Right. And then you clearly see her from that angle, like like I don't like that, you know, her face got all, like you said, resting bitch face. And then all of a sudden he walks up on stage. So like that's why I thought it was planned, and it was like kind of poorly executed, because you know sometimes those things they seem kind of like clunky. Like I can't think of like a past one, but I know I've seen like those like weird stage things before where they don't seem totally genuine. And even the way he slapped him seemed kind of like he definitely connected, but he had this weird kind of like stiff arm thing.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Amorata when I saw it, and I was just like, yeah, that his stance just seems like it was like he was like holding back pretty much how he
didn't really want to slap him, it seemed like. But right. I mean, I truly believe that the whole thing, the only reason he got up and slapped him was because he got that look from her that said, you damn well better do something. And while we didn't see it, you could kind of see the beginning of it on the look on her face as he was laughing.
Yep.
And the only reason is because he knew that there would be hell to pay when he got home if he didn't.
Yeah, no, he was going to go sleep. He was going to have to go sleep in the 14th guest house. That'd have been bad.
Well, it just shows you too how broken that whole thing must be. Because Amorata, you and I had an exchange on Twitter as well, talking about like you know, his own like mental health. How he was like, the whole drama in his relationship was exposed on national television. His wife dropping those bombs on him right there, and that the original meme of him, like, you know, was that was from her talking about her infidelity.
Yeah, that I went on my show on Monday. I went on a whole tear about that. I'm probably going to end up uploading that, since you know it's still the talk of the town. Just drop my whole. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to fucking edit it. I'm just like, you know what? Here's the video. The audio, and here's like a couple points where my avatar pops up in the shit, and I'm just leave it at that.
Right.
Because yeah, no, that it lit a fire under my belly, the way that everything unfolded. But we can I don't want to be the guy to open that part of the conversation up. I'm gonna let y'all do it. You might have said something like, or rather, you guys have already had this conversation, so you can probably like, you know, review what you guys were talking about, because I think that's where you were going.
I've basically been on the same spot from the beginning after I realized that it was real, and for me it's watching that we're seeing the end of possibly decades of emotional and mental abuse at the hands of a woman that people are ignoring.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it's dangerous. I mean, it shows you the danger of ignoring like these, like the red flags in relationships. Like, and I understand what it takes a lot to push through and try and work through issues in a marriage. And like, I mean, Will's an A+ list star. I mean, he has been for most of his career. And to go through something like that, where, you know, his marriage is falling apart, like on national television, like, what, you know, how does he cope? And he obviously they didn't do anything to remedy that. At least he didn't in his own mind, because, you know, if he is looking over at his wife and he's getting signals like, oh shit, you better handle this now, I don't like it. Now he's put in a spot where he has to get up, because the guy to commit to walking on stage in front of all of your peers in Hollywood on national television, on the world stage, really, people all around the world are watching this, and hit a comedian in the face, and then
telling a joke.
For telling a joke, man.
And of all things, a comedian who has historically been protected from that kind of thing based on the fact that was their job. The jester's job has always been to speak truth in a way that makes people laugh, even if the people in power don't like it. And they were always protected from the punishment of what they were speaking.
Right.
Protected, you know, sort of, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing behind that, and then I mean, just the way people, for me, the biggest thing in that's probably bothered me with the situation is seeing how many men out there have looked at it and said, oh, well, Will deserves this because he didn't leave her. And for me, it's like, this is about the only thing I can say really qualifies as toxic masculinity, is the fact that instead of understanding that emotional and mental abuse is a huge issue that takes so much strength, time, power, I mean, admittance, all sorts of shit that has to go right for someone to get out of it. And it's twice as hard for men because of everything. That's the part that's bothered me the most, and has honestly been on my mind the most because of it.
Yeah, it's and I wouldn't call it toxic masculinity. I would call it like what I just had it in my head, like unchecked, like I guess it would be like, for lack of a better term, emotionally damaged masculinity, like a man who's who has been pushed. Because he was doing what he thought was right, and it wasn't right. Like, that was probably the exact wrong thing to do at that moment.
Absolutely.
But it's because he didn't deal with his shit. But the thing is like, you have to, again, this is such a highly nuanced thing that, like, while I agree with people's thing, like, he didn't deal with this stuff in the past and he was defending his wife and stuff, like, yes, but like, he should have been handling this, and he should have been better equipped mentally. But it's also, you know, it's weird too, because we put actors on this big pedestal, like there are these like demigods, and like, they're not. They're just normal people who happen to be really good at a thing, you know. And
put simply, yeah. And my take on this whole thing, Amorata's been hearing me espouse about it for a little bit, but people can say that I have like a beef with everyone who covers this, like, you know, like with the Quartering, or like with Ryan Kennel, or like with Jeremy over at Geeks and Gamers or something like that. I don't have a beef with them, but ultimately I feel like they're looking at this from the entirely wrong perspective, and saying that your job is to entertain us, this, that, and the other. Will is wrong for doing what he did, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. And I'm sitting here like, you guys aren't looking at this from the perspective of helping the man out.
Right.
It's not about who's right or who. It's not about if Will was right or if Chris Rock was right or anything like that. It's about, why did he go up there and do that?
Right.
If you look at the clip, the man's laughing, Jade is not. He gets up, slaps him, sits back down, and all of a sudden he's serious. Do you not think that there's something going on behind the scenes in that whole situation?
He's more than serious. He was on the edge of tears. For a man who just slapped another man, he looked like he was about to cry.
Right.
Pretty much. And the thing that bothered me the most is everybody's like, oh, well, take his Oscar. No, fuck that. That piece of metal doesn't fucking matter at this point. Like,
Right.
none of that matters at all. This man is clear. This man went through, like, he flip-flopped harder than Starscream and The Rock in the coin flipping contest. Like, with as far as his emotions went, like he was happy one moment, then he was not, like some level of bipolar shit going on. And everybody's just saying, oh, well, Will's wrong. Will's this, Will's that. So he's in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He's screwed either way that you look at it. And people are just sitting here like, well, I mean, this is what you put yourself in. No, well, yes and no. Because nobody can predict the future in a sense. Like nobody knew 20 years ago, 30 years ago that this man was going to be in a situation where he'd be slapping one of his best friends because his wife shot him a look. Like nobody knew this shit was going to fucking happen. So when you look at this and you look at these celebrities and actors and stuff, aside from them espousing politics, when they do something to this degree, that's when you have to stop and go, well, they're just as human.
Right.
Like I wouldn't want somebody pushing their narrative, like their politics or agenda or anything like that on me.
Mhm.
But I mean, if there's somebody who's like who looks like they're in that situation, like this man got his entire life literally turned upside down, especially like at the red table. Like when his wife decided that she was going to air out dirty laundry. Hey, I had an affair with our son's friend, and call he's nothing compared to this kid who pretty much has nothing to his name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here like the man's whole career, well, pretty much everything the family has is built off of this man's career. He is the one in the blockbuster movies. He's the one with the semi-successful rap career. He's the one who's out here producing and directing video movies and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like people go to Will, they don't go to Jada. But Jada is reaping all the benefits and basically telling this man what he should and should not do with his life. Like, and nobody's sitting here going, oh, well, nah, Will definitely needs help. Nobody, well, the people down at the bottom, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or the people with the quieter megaphones are the ones that are saying, hey, he needs help. And everybody else is they're just doing click videos. And that's what bothers me when I look at like another Ryan Kendall video talking about Will getting his laundry aired out. Same thing when you look at like Drexel or Nick Recator or something like that. Like I have nothing against these people, but they're looking at it from the completely wrong perspective.
Right.
It's not about him being a cuck at all. It's about him being broken.
Yeah. I mean, I can certainly I get that point of view. Like, I mean, it definitely generates the clicks. Like you said, calling Will Smith a cuck, and I was guilty of it too, but it was unjust. I'm like, it's funny because you have the Jack Murphy memes and Will Smith memes coming out from this whole thing and whatever. It's funny, but the deeper conversation that people are not having and not writing about, instead they're writing drivel like this about it being about racism. It's like, no, how about we talk about how broken this man is behind the scenes and how we need to come to terms that, I mean, even men in general need to find a way to get this stuff out and feel comfortable doing it. Cause I'm sure a lot of it is ego. But he's certainly, but that's the thing. And, we had, Silvar said in the chat, like Will settled, like, it's a common thing, and a lot of it deals with family and keeping family like together. Yeah. And it's, but I agree with you 100%, Sheep. Like the conversation needs to set around like about a Will and what led to this moment and how to avoid it or how he could have avoided it. Because I mean, and again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying, like why I thought it was fake was because I just can't believe he thought in that moment that was the proper thing to do. It made way more sense that these guys were like, oh, we're gonna rile up the crowd. Just come up on stage. I'm gonna make a joke about G.I. Jane and your wife, and because even the joke was dumb. Like G.I. Jane, like that's a movie from 1997.
Yeah,
the only people that would understand that are people that are like probably my age and older.
If I recall, I actually had to explain it to you, Sheep.
What, G.I. Jane?
Yeah.
No, I know who G.I. Jane is.
I remember having to tell someone it was a movie where the woman shaved her head.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me. I already know about
Might have
that
been my
movie and how
mother.
she got screwed over in that movie, but still ended up being the hero, helping out her superiors. I was like, all right, that's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, so like all that stuff culminated in this, like, this has to be a joke, right? Like, this isn't real. You know, the fake looking slap, the really bad joke. I mean, just the bad joke from an A-list comedian like Chris Rock. Like, I just thought, like, it's just, I thought it would have just fallen flat. Like, it didn't seem like a reason to go up on stage to do anything. But
Well, it seemed like a little throwaway roast joke that
right, exactly.
It was a
Right.
little maybe made
Exactly.
a little chuckle and then you move on and go on to something else.
Mhm.
It was
So.
like it was the joke was as tasteless. It was just tasteless. It was as tasteless as water, I guess you can say. It's like it was nothing worth throwing out career out the window over. Unless that, what if that was Will's like ultimatum? Like he's just like, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to suicide unless it's my career, and just goes up, does that shit, has his full quote unquote breakdown, and once like all the funding stops, and he's like, I finally get to live the life I want to live, where I'm not in the spotlight. Of course, he's
I'll
now
be
branded a
honest.
cuck, but still.